And today at the inquest, there was also more testimony from those working in the parole and correctional systems. For more on this, the CBC's Jason Warwick joins us now from Melfort. Jason, today we heard more about Miles Sanderson's past. What did you learn?
Ethan, we heard that during one of Mr. Sanderson's stints in prison, he was making actually a lot of progress, seeing elders, taking programming. But despite that, the parole officials who testified today said that he was still designated what they call a low chance of successful reintegration into society. We heard from parole officer Jessica Dix. I'll just read you a little bit about what she said. She said, Mr. Sanderson, when he was first in prison, he started out with a very adversarial attitude and was accusatory. My impression was that he didn't want to be told what to do, but over time he opened up. He worked with an elder. He was willing to accept advice in a healthy way. We did see his behavior progress. She talked about, during this latest stint in prison, how he passed all his drug tests, was not involved in any fights, and investigations found no connections to gangs. So in some ways, they were feeling hopeful about it, but they did realize that being successful in prison is one thing and being successful in the community is another. And his long history of reoffending, some of his problematic behavior led them to designate him as a low chance of success. And unfortunately, when he was eventually released, he shortly after did violate his parole, and months later, violate his parole, a warrant was issued, and several months later, these mass stabbings occurred, Ethan. And we heard from others at this inquiry today and in previous days about why he was even let out on parole, and they talked about how he had served his time. He had got to his statutory release date, and they had to release him from prison. Some were asking why he wasn't declared a dangerous offender, and the officials who testified said that had he survived this mass stabbing incident, he certainly would have been a candidate for the dangerous offender status. But to the point of these mass stabbings on September 4th, 2022, he had not committed murder. He had not committed these very serious offenses that can lead to that very serious designation, Ethan.
And Jason, what do we expect to hear about tomorrow?
Well, there's growing concern, as we just heard before this, from members of James Smith about how we're hearing from a lot of the outsiders that came and helped at James Smith. And everyone says those are valid perspectives and important voices to learn. But they are increasingly concerned. Chief Calvin Sanderson just spoke to us and others about how the voices of the people at James Smith who helped that day, who helped in the days following to keep people's mental health intact, are not being heard sufficiently. Chief Sanderson actually was asked about the inquest in general, and he said that's the coroner's process. It's not ours, Ethan.
All right, Jason, thank you for this.
You're welcome.
The CBC's Jason Warwick joining us from Melfort.